Back at Geneva College on a rainy Wednesday, but it is full of a lot of sunshine coming off that win against Teal. We're going to talk about it and, well, break it down with the coach, Geno DeMarco, just to get that pressure, that release. It feels good.
Good word. Winning is a relief. The joy of winning does not match the agony of losing.
Well, especially when you kind of begin by fumbling and they return it for a score eventually, and you're down, even though you blocked the extra point, you're down 6-0, and you're like,
yeah.
Well, now this isn't supposed to go this way, but a lot of great defense throughout this football game, a lot of individual performances, and you end up getting the victory, and you got homecoming this week, Case Western, so it's a good story.
You know, Rob, that kind of game against Teal is a game that every team needs to have. It's a game that, you know, as a coach, you don't want to be in it, but yet you know that you have to be in that kind of a game in order to take the next step as far as having a group of kids that are just going to continue to compete. I mean, we were very, very content with playing field position, and as I always say, winning ugly.
All right, the YM Shaheen, the Pack newcomer, had a sack, some big tackles. Talk about this young man.
Amazing young man. From Georgia, Christian school in Georgia. He is an outstanding football player. He's an outstanding young man. Dad is involved in ministry there at the academy, and we were able to get him just because one of our coaches, Leo Wisniewski, and his dad were very, very close, and the family made the commitment to come. He's thriving in this environment, and I'm saying not only in football, but just being in this type of environment here.
So 21-6 is the final. So this really was defense, but Landon Smith had a big day running the football, career high 106 yards on 16 attempts. So it really was a defensive game, but there was some nice bright spots, especially ground and pound running the football.
Yeah, it was ugly. Like what I mean by that is people just sat there and just watched us run the ball.
That's okay. That's what you do.
Run the clock, and we got off. You know, we punted the ball very well. I was very, very, very happy about the effort our guys gave, and we're so close to offensively to getting better. You know, that was Romano's first game in 3 years.
No mistakes. That's what you want.
That's what you want. I thought he did a very good job, and we're going to continue to get better. But 14-6. You're playing against a team that you've beaten over the years, and everybody thinks, well, it should be more.
You know, it's homecoming this weekend, and I know so many that have graduated from here, and many who will return for a bright, sunny day, hopefully this weekend against Case Western. Even though you've been at it a long time, homecoming football, especially at the collegiate level, to see where people have matriculated in their lives, that's a good thing.
I have not been part of a homecoming.
I know.
In decades.
But you will someday.
Maybe,
when you retire.
maybe. But they tell me that it is a good time, and hopefully we'll get some GTs back and get some alum back. I know that it is a big deal here at Geneva.
We talk about the facilities all the time, and I love the facilities, and there's always room for improvement, but I don't think unless you've been here in a while, if you're coming back from homecoming, they really continue to upgrade, and I'm just fascinated by the multi-layers that they have here at Geneva when it comes to athletics and education. But let's talk about what you do online, social media, and obviously at your website. I plug in because I'm so busy, literally hours before I come here. If I had that type of resource back in the day, I probably would have ended up on the network. Because, I mean, it's just anything that you would ever want to know, game notes, more past, present, future, history, player, individual profiles, coaches, and you tie in the faith-based, you tie in the academics. It's really incredible what these people are doing here for you via the World Wide Web.
I think some of our coaches, head coaches in the other sports, do an incredible job with social media. They really are. Probably because they're younger and they know how to do it. I think we need to improve dramatically.
Especially game day. I would like to see some live video splash, on a few little platforms while I'm at home, kind of recovering after 9 hours
Yeah.
on radio.
I gotta tell you that is something that
It's the future.
it's
Geno.
the future. No, it is actually now.
You're right.
It's now, and we're behind in that. I'm not ashamed to say that, but we're behind in that type of advertising, and we've been behind for about 5-6 years. And I'm talking about from a football program standpoint. And our young coaches and our guys know how to do that. They'll put clips up, and we got websites, we got platforms, but nowhere near what's happening. It's just, and it may be just other places are just it's just saturation and oversaturation. But I mean, you can't go anywhere today without getting a clip of this, that, and the other in anything. And I think we could improve that.
Well, let me give you an idea how you can, because I work with some incredible young people all the time, my producers at KDK Radio, who many have gone on to do incredible things. For instance, Bill Hillgrove's grandson is doing football
Right.
now on WTOV. Bill Steinbach, the grandfather, his grandson now is anchoring at TOV. So I've seen it happen. My daughter Eva, who works in Beaver Falls, but truly is a social media juggernaut, she's incredible. You get some of these young students that you have here that have that ability, internship, possibility of credits, you will be amazed the people you have right inside this college who can light the lamp and do things for you that you never thought were possible, and can put Geneva football on a smartphone of an alum in California as the game is taking place.
Well, we do have integrated media here,
Yeah.
and the problem is I don't know how it all connects.
I get it.
And I should, but I'm not a Twitter guy. I mean, I'll put a couple things out there. I'm not, and that I think that hurts us, as a head coach, that hurts us. But
Well, the more eyes you have on it, the more athletes will get connected to it, especially at the high school level. Back to the game. One of the things, we talk about your offense and what you do. And some may say it's like watching paint dry, but when it works, as it did this past week. But the thing that I never talk about with you, and why I think you've been such a great coach, and even though wins and losses aren't where you'd like them to be in recent years, but defensive-minded coach, you really are a defensive-minded coach as much as you are stuck in your ways as far as offensively. Talk about how you approach this game in 2024 defensively at Geneva, Coach.
well, this game this week against Case,
Yeah.
and Case brings an offense that is very difficult to defend. They can line up in a two-back offense with a tight end and just run a gap scheme, run the ball down your throat. They can go 5 wides. They've got screens. They have a full, complete offense. I would say that this is very, very innovative. They've done a great job with it. They'll put 2 quarterbacks on the field at one time, and they know what they're doing. They got tall receivers. They use the outside screen game as their run game. If you don't put enough people in the box, they're going to go ahead and run, a quarterback. The quarterback's a problem. He's a problem. I mean, you're defending 11, and the kid's a kid that can run, he can pass. I mean, it is single wings spread, and they make you defend every part of the field. Being a defensive coach in college football is so difficult because of all the things that offenses do now. It's really, really remarkable.
I'm going to use this line Sunday on the Coons Market Black and Gold Sunday show. You just said something like the light bulb just went on. Screen pass like the run game.
Well, that's all it is. It's an extension. It just get the ball, throw it out there, and what we thought was a toss sweep back in the day, or Lombardi thought was power sweep or whatever. These guys will just get the ball and throw it out in space, and let one of their slots run the ball, and they're okay with calling it a run game. Like, we ran an air raid offense here for a number of years, and it was very,
What
very
offense?
air raid. It's what everybody liked. It was the entertaining offense. Like, we were throwing the ball 40 times, 45 times a game. And we want to hurry up. That's the other thing that the case does, is the tempo of why they go. It's just like fast break. And it is all predicated on using everything, stretching the field. And, you know, I heard this the other day, that as a defender, you know, space is your enemy. I mean, that's, if you got to defend a ton of space, that makes it tough. But these guys are really, really good. I'm going to say this: they are truly one of the best teams in Division III. I think they should be ranked in the top 25. Love competing against them. It's just Pittsburgh, Cleveland. That's the way we look at it.
All right, a couple of other things with the coach. Heading to our alma mater after this, we'll talk to John McCouga. One of the storylines in the Times as far as the halfway point is the success of the New Brighton Lions. They've got some losses, but they've got some wins, and they've done it very impressively at times. But Jerron King Jr., this quarterback, a freshman, who actually filmed one of my videos during training camp, is now really coming off another 200-yard performance, right, and another touchdown pass. And then you've got Peel, Coach Busby in Western Beaver, and you and I have been talking about numbers, so I want your honest opinion. Back in the day, you'd have probably never seen the opportunity to start as a freshman at any level. Do you think that we're getting a chance now to see younger players at that position because the numbers are so low? Or is it because there's more talent out there now than ever before, and maybe we're getting a chance to see it because we wouldn't have had that opportunity because the numbers would have never given them a chance? But how do you explain two teams that we're very familiar within miles apart here in Beaver County? Now Peel is a sophomore, but he had an amazing 4,000-yard season last year. And now you've got this young man who is already 6'1" at New Brighton, who's giving Coach McCouga the chance to play physical football, but also to that young man Vion and others airing the ball out. That's pretty phenomenal when you think about it.
Well, I think it's a smaller level. I mean, in school, when you get somebody who's a dominant player and somebody like this, I mean, as a freshman, it's just outstanding. I mean, you were mentioning Peel from Western last year.
Remarkable.
It is remarkable. But these kids learn so much now, and you see it a whole lot with quarterbacks, especially guys throwing the ball, because they go to these 7-on-7s. They do things that they get an opportunity to refine their skills. I think it's showcasing that particular talent. The kid would never have played. Never 30, 40 years ago, because he'd have been buried, and he would have been on the 9th grade, or probably would have been JV, and you never ever heard of a freshman being called up. I mean, if you played as a sophomore and you're in a good program, it was like, whoa, decent player. I'm concerned about the numbers. We talk about this often. I'm concerned about the numbers in Beaver County. Concerned about the safety for the kids.
Well, here's the other thing, and I was talking to this recently with an alum of Geneva and a friend, childhood friend. I've been talking to coaches about it, from Gene Matsuk and you're really probably one of the best persons that I've ever been around to explain name, image, and likeness, and why it's so essential, and it's a part of the game. And hey, that's what it's all about, right? Capitalism. And you were just so spot on about that, but you've also been spot on about the numbers. But what worries me, and I've talked about this with others, as I mentioned, and you and coaches, these smaller schools that the numbers are dwindling, their facilities are crumbling.
Right.
They don't have decent locker rooms, they don't have decent bleachers, they don't have decent weight room facilities that they need to be able to get into during the off season, because let's face it, it's the have and have nots, and some of the opponents that they're playing have bigger, stronger athletes because they have better facilities, even though the numbers are either close or the same. But there's still many of them that need that fresh coat of paint, and somewhere, somehow, we got to be able to find the money if they're going to continue to be able to be competitive, but also be safe out there.
There's always been, and there will always be, the haves and have-nots.
Right.
I don't think
a lot of disparity now, though, Coach.
So much more disparity now. I think honestly, what it comes down to is, it comes down to local leadership. It comes down to to, are people willing to fight for what they think they need? And how do you go about doing that? Do you penalize somebody who has had a great plan and put it together, and they do have facilities, and we have that in this conference?
Right.
I don't think you do. I don't think you penalize them. I don't. There's gotta be a creative way. And it's one thing to talk about the problem, but it's another thing to own it. And I think as Beaver Countyans, I think we need to own this. I really do. I think there's an issue that we need to look at, and what's the future for our young people from an education standpoint. And it may be voucher system, it may be combining places, it may be getting the best, of different programs at different places. It may be going into some sort of a countywide system of maybe 4 schools. There's so many people out there that understand this. I just don't know at the local level if we're having enough leadership to make it happen. And the bottom line is the people that have are not gonna give to the people that don't have.
Mm-hmm.
That's just not gonna happen. It's not human nature. Or do I think that they should, or be taken from.
Right.
But it's an issue, Bob, Rob, and I was talking to a number of people, and I think we gotta start combining schools. We have to start.
Or co-opting. even.
Co-oping. It has to happen.
Because the numbers have to increase.
They have to.
You can't fill the football team with 22 players.
No, it's like I said, we're getting to a safety issue, and it may be football would be the thing that actually would help bring people together as far as combining a district. But nobody wants to make that move. Nobody wants to do it.
I'll tell you, speaking of freshmen, I'll never forget a duo that I saw play here. And you know exactly where I'm going with this. Dwight Collins and Jerry Moore.
Right.
Jerry sadly no longer here.
No.
But my goodness gracious, were they not two of the most fabulous athletes to ever watch, both playing at Beaver Falls?
Coach Bruno said that year of '78 was his second best team he ever had. And his best team obviously would have been the one with Namath. But he said that was the best team he ever had. And when you look at it, they had 4 guys that went to the NFL. They were legit. They were so good. And a team that wasn't far from them was Beaver.
Oh, I know.
And Coach and Pat used to talk about that. I mean, Tommy, his son was running the show. They had Division I guys. It truly was an amount of talent, But we're talking about late '70s, middle '70s. We're talking about the heyday.
But here's, if we don't solve this issue with numbers, let me explain where I was going with this. So at that time, Beaver Falls in years prior when Joe was playing, they're graduating 600 people, okay? Then obviously Blackhawk, and they split away. Now we've got NA and Central Catholic Friday night, Power Bowser, Friday Night Lights. Great game. 2 really incredible coaches. Art Walker has been around forever, Junior, his dad, great coach, and Ryan Laymeyer, love the guy, played for Jack McCurry. But everyone looks at these schools, and I travel to them all, the Pine Ridge ones, they're amazing.
Amazing.
But they are exactly what Beaver County, Aliquippa, Ambridge, Beaver Falls, when Ambridge, Aliquippa were playing, and there were 12,000 people at the game. So everything is secular, but if we don't find a way to stop it here, it will eventually go and move forward in future generations.
The number problem in football, all right, that's a symptom of an underlying problem. And it's the fact that we don't have so many students in these school districts.
That's it.
And the reason we don't have as many students in these school districts is because there isn't a draw or an attraction for a company to come to Beaver County to say, hey, we're gonna do this, we're gonna invest in this place. And I mean, until we get structural economies put in Beaver County to be able to have people start building homes and moving into the county, okay? We're hoping, you're an optimist, I'm an optimist, we're hoping. But it ain't gonna happen until that stuff goes. And I do believe it can happen. I do believe, and I don't wanna start getting political about this, but, there's resources in this county that can draw, potential, manufacturers here and be able to build the numbers. I mean, you gotta, it's the only way to happen.
What I always loved about this business, when you would run into someone who would say, oh yeah, I played with that person. And you're like, what? Like the great late Frank Bauer, who was maybe the greatest promoter ever.
Correct.
And he would be thriving in name, image, and likeness right now. He'd be the first call I would make to put him on my staff. He just was so savvy about everything.
He was.
Love Frank, but he spent a lot of time with Coach Luckhart at Cal. And I'll never forget, Coach Luckhart and I were talking, and he just said one day, oh yeah, I was the center for Bob Greasy at Purdue. I was like, what? You know, but those are the little stories, the doctors, the dentist, the candlestick maker, the baker, the steel worker who were on those teams with Namath and others who came through. And of course, Poe James, and then he went on to play at New Mexico State, and the top 3 rushers included a guy from Avonworth, Mercury Morris, who just passed away. And this running gag between my boss and I, PJ Kamenchik, our program director, when you say Mercury Morris, oh yeah, he's from Avonworth. I mean, think about that. But that's when the mills were booming and things were just churning. It was just a different time, but I truly believe if we're doing the great things at these schools with large numbers, like the NAs in Pine Richland who are making it work, there's no reason why we can't figure a way to make the numbers get bigger, bring people together, co-op mergers, and more business coming into Beaver County, right?
Yeah, and you need to get with like government officials that really know what's going on. You know, what attracts people? Is it a really good school system and they'll move in because of that? And maybe we need to take a look at how can we improve the school systems in Beaver County to be an attraction for people to come. Is it athletics? Yeah, it is. It's all of the above. You know, road system, opportunity, you know, it's just, I think we can do it. I do. I really believe we can do it. And I think the reason that we can do it is because there's enough infrastructure in Beaver County to make it happen.
Absolutely.
Especially, you know, it's just, unfortunately, Rochester and Monaco are gonna have to work together. Unfortunately, you know, I bring these things up because these are old school rivalries.
No, they were the best.
They were the best. It was the absolute best. And, you know, we're gonna have to work with, you know, people that maybe we looked at as like, oh, they're from that, you know. We gotta put that stuff aside.
Here's all you need to know, why anything is possible. Mark Lyons, who played him in that. Dan Matzel, Rochester, they had some epic battles. Matzel goes on to become the superintendent that puts the whole thing, Central Valley Monaco, who were really bitter rivals in one form or another, even though they were different classifications, the old Center High School in Monaco. That came together, and who does he pick for his football coach? Mark Lyons, who is letting people know that even though they kind of started slow, it's full throttle again. So I'm just saying, if you can take that rivalry where people were parked on rooftops watching it as I called the game.
Oh, I remember, we were down there.
Believe me.
We were down there. We were together, we were in the booth and
our sports director, Jeff Hathorn, was right there too, and even he couldn't believe it. And all I'm saying is, if that can go as seamless as it has, and I see it every day living in Monaco, anything's possible.
Well, I think that's the model. I really do. I think let's call it what it is. The Central Valley merger is the blueprint.
Beautiful.
It's the blueprint, and it's created a great district. I think that could happen. New Brighton, Rochester, Freedom. I think that could happen.
Here's the other thing, Coach, and I've got to get to New Brighton and get to KDK Radio, but let me just say this. Here's the other thing. Geneva College, and I remember growing up, they had spurts where they were great. You had a lot of that early on. If the WPIL gets stronger in Beaver County, the numbers grow, the mergers take place, the athletes, they're not all going to Division I AA or Division I or wherever. Many of them are going to say, I want to go to Geneva and play at home. it would help your program, it would help this place as well too, this incredible place of higher learning.
Well, there's colleges that actually look at how do we keep that kind of talent, that human capital, how do we keep that around the greater Pittsburgh area? How do we do that? And there's some very innovative ideas that have happened where, you got schools that are investing in their current students knowing that they're gonna end up getting a job in Pittsburgh. And, when it comes time for them to give back to the university or the college they love, they do it. I mean, it's a long-term plan, it's a marketing plan, so many things. I mean, the airport's a big deal. The airport's a great big deal. We're gonna have to change the way we think about business because, we had a ton of Fortune 100 companies. We had headquarters in the 70s for a long, right? And that was an attraction in Pittsburgh. I mean, so the attraction now, what is the attraction now in Pittsburgh? I mean, to me, this is more than Beaver County now. I mean, there isn't a reason why Beaver County can't be looked at as a suburb of Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
Because before, back in the day, it was like you got Route 65 and it's gonna take forever to get there. Well, you start seeing Pittsburgh develop in ways that we haven't seen. It'll trickle down. By the way, Pittsburgh is still one of the top cities for entrepreneurial leadership in the country.
I know.
It was ranked number 1 a couple of years back. Miami is second. To me, I believe in capitalism. I believe that there needs to be some sort of ideas.
Listen, all the coaches I can choose to do these with, and I do them all at one time or another, and have over the last 4 decades. I come here because this is home cooking.
Yeah.
All right, this is what I love. And I know you, as much as you love getting athletes from all over the country, it's nice to know when someone says, oh yeah, didn't he graduate from Beaver? Didn't he go to New Brighton? Oh, I remember when he played at Freedom. It's nice to have some of that local talent matriculate and have great Saturdays on that stadium floor.
Well, it was the marketing plan that we had back in 93. It was get Beaver County kids, make it Beaver County's four-year school, be the football program for Beaver County. And Beaver County back then was more than just the schools here. We were talking about Elwood, we would get kids.
How about Elwood?
Yeah, Elwood's got a nice football team.
Coach Bradley DeMarco, their best start in 27 years.
Yeah, they got a really good football team, and he knows how to lead.
Well, just like you. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks.